Well, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to ULT San Diego for the Aquarian series. And today's presentation is entitled The Christmas Spirit, which will be given to us by Miss Meluca Rivera.
Friends, good afternoon, good evening. I know some of you are from far away and Europe. So thank you so much for being with us. And happy winter solstice. As you know, the topic is the Christmas spirit. And there is something magical about this season, and it's the gift of illumination. Happy winters again. May light increase in your heart, her endless blessing nourish and fill every day of your life. Before we go to the special presentation by Gita from Paris of the Gayatri, for some of you who are not familiar of this mantra, I just would like to tell you that the invocation of the Gayatri mantra is a prayer that all humanity will receive and enjoy the splendor, brilliance, and divine and healing potency of the invisible and spiritual sun. Consecrated use and meditation on such a mantra can raise the vibration field of our consciousness, elevating our speech and impacting all other aspects of our lives. Now, Gita is mute. She's going to do the chanting of the Gayatri. Gita, it's all yours.
Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat.
Thank you so much for the lovely and heartfelt presentation of it. Thank you, Gita. And namaste. For those of you who don't know, like me, Sanskrit, the Gayatri is a Savitri, they call it, to a very sacred verse addressed to the sun. And is, as you see, you can read it. O Divine Mother, may your pure divine light illuminate all the realm, physical, mental, and spiritual of our being. I'm not doing it like Gita. Please expel any darkness from our hearts and grant us true knowledge. That's basically so you have an idea what you just heard, because it's a very sacred, very amazing mantra. Now we're going to have a special reading. This was a recording then from a ULT member from Paris, Alain Bernard, which I also know for a long time, as well as Gita, long-time friends. I hope you enjoy it.
Quels sont les trois buts de la société théosophique? Ils sont et ont été dès le commencement au nombre de trois. Premièrement, former le noyau d'une fraternité universelle de l'humanité, sans distinction de race, de couleur ou de croyance. Deuxièmement, encourager l'étude des écritures aryennes et autres écritures, des religions et des sciences du monde, et prouver l'importance de l'ancienne littérature asiatique, notamment celle des philosophies brahmaniques, bouddhiques et zoroastriennes. Et troisièmement, étudier sous tous les aspects possibles les mystères cachés de la nature, et spécialement les pouvoirs psychiques et spirituels latents dans l'homme. Voilà, exposés dans les grandes lignes, les 3 buts principaux de la société théosophique.
Now we're going to have the overview I want to give you is basically we are celebrating Christmas this month, right? But also why we're celebrating, it has to do with the winter solstice. Throughout the ages, many cultures from antiquity always worship the sun, celebrate the season because it's the rebirth of humanity in a sense. And as you see, the trees, the animals, they go into hibernation, and we're supposed to follow that pattern of nature so that we will gain strength, but this time is the physical strength, so that we can move forward into increasing higher levels of consciousness and hopefully, improve more as human beings, as spiritual beings. So the winter solstice is very sacred. At the winter solstice, the universal currents of life help humanity consciousness to enter divine spheres. At the same time, spiritual energy can descend from higher worlds into the human arena. The gods descend into hell. The guarded experience is their underworld of our own world, thereby bringing inspiration and enlightenment to humanity. At this time, each of us also may undergo a new birth. Nature has opened the door, and it's up to us to recognize this and take a step further. At the winter solstice, the universal currents of life help human consciousness enter divine spheres. At the same time, spiritual energy can descend from higher worlds into the human arena. The gods descend into hell to garner experience in their underworld, our own world, thereby bringing inspiration and enlightenment of humanity. At this time, each of us may also go on the new birth. Nature has opened the door, and it is up to us to recognize the step. Maybe we needed to listen to it twice. The winter solstice is a special time for those who honor and acknowledge the pattern of our natural world. For the plain tribes, the buffalo is not just an animal, it symbolizes life and survival. Buffalo embody unity and strength, deeply admired and respected in the indigenous culture. They possess humble spirit and resilience, reminding Native Americans to stand up for their beliefs and remain strong. Native Americans have used buffalo in every aspect of their life. Wool for warmth, meat for sustenance, skin for clothing, and bone for tools and weapons. Something very interesting that I learned a long time ago is that there is a story among the Native Americans that when the climates start changing and they start getting snow, they didn't have food to eat. And they say that the Great Spirit sent the buffalo so that they will be able to have food and survive, as you see all the many uses they have. They do seem very different than most people. When they eat, before they eat an animal, they ask for permission to kill them. They do a ceremony, and they treat everything with such a respect. The same thing when they're going to remove a tree. They ask the tree for permission, and they do a whole ceremony because they think everything is sacred. There is a soul in the Mother Nature, in all aspects. Everything has a soul. And of course, with animals, they have they're more sensitive to when they get killed and suffer more, because it's not like the plants don't have the same nervous system. So they feel pain. And sometimes, that stress go into the food that we eat, because of course, the fear and all that. But in general, they consider this among the will. They have like the four uh, different direction wheel, and it's represented in one of the wheels of the native, the wheel of life. Now, during this time of the solstice, the Native American also do bonfire. I have attended some of them here in California by Pacific Palisade, the Chumash, very wonderful tribe. They are still struggling to hold on to their properties, because they still want to take it taken away from them. But they are wonderful people, and they're very careful about sharing, their knowledge, because, as you know, sometimes knowledge get misused when it falls into the wrong hands. But they do this beautiful ceremony, and it's always have a fire, and they have you give to the fire, you give your gift, you give tobacco, you give incense, or you give whatever herbs you want to do that is like incense. And it's interesting because you dedicate some of that incense and you throw it into the fire to honor your ancestors, those who have left us, and we always remember. They say this is important to honor our ancestors, our fathers, our husband, our whoever is in our family has departed. So I thought it was very moving. So they include dancing, flower collecting tradition of solstice celebration. They do the 4-point cardinal points, dance is in a circle, because as you know, in life, everything is a circle. So they're very aware of all these sacred symbols, very respectful to Mother Nature, as I said before, and to human beings too. But they also erect a pau de ceibo, maypole, celebrate marital union. They get married during this time too. The celebration usually takes place in a shed roof tent called an arrayal, if I say it correctly. So here we are, vernal equinox. This usually is either on March 20 or March 21st. So for the equinoxes and solstices, the periods and various phases of the solar course, astronomically and numerically expressed, are the only concrete symbol of the eternal living verity, though they do seem abstract ideas to uninitiated mortals. The solstices and equinoxes mark the four corners of the esoteric year, each associated with a particular cycle of spiritual events. In the initiation cycle, the winter solstice is associated with the birth of the inner Christ or Buddha. The summer solstice with the great renunciation of personal progress made by those of the hierarchy of compassion. That is the high beings that go into initiation into, let's say, for example, the pyramids, and to get into higher degrees, what we call later on the masters or avatars. There is one particular thing that is important to know. At the beginning of the physical life, they call it the third race, the Lemurian, apparently a lot of things took place. Once this being was enlightened, they committed serious crime against nature. And because of that, they start paying the price for it. And that was the first time, according to Theosophy, the first time we experienced the first ice age. And eventually, most of the Lemurian islands broke, and we only have one left. That is what they call it, the Easter Island. That's the last of the Lemurian. And recently in PBS, they did a whole documentary about it. a lot of people find out about it, and they've been going there, a lot of tourists, and they just trashing the place. They have thousands of trash of plastic. Whenever the tourists go, especially, they just have to. So the natives are so upset because they were so sacred and was kept so nicely, because they understand the significance of the loss of this piece. It apparently was the Lemurian Atlanteans, for those of you who more or less know about this. So that's how the Earth got the tilt, because the unbalanced science is going crazy. Don't know why the Earth have a tilt, but according to what I understand, that was the first time that we have the first tilt, and it's tilted even more and more. But look at what we're doing to our lovely sacred planet, our place of growing and living, and unfortunately, that's what happened. The solstices, as I mentioned, is another opportunity for us. We are what is called in the Iron Age or Kali Yuga. So began with the Aryan Atlanteans, according to theosophy, and we're going through tough time, and we have to. However, I know that it's kind of scary to think we're going to this Iron Age and it's going to get even darker, but there is a gleam of hope. Not everybody that is in this planet and this is just a regular mass, a general karma. But in the theosophical teaching, they say you individually don't have to be part of that, because there are some people who are in their own inner particular private, there will be experiences, the silver age or silver or even gold, all depending how advanced they are. So it does affect the consciousness of the planet, and all of us get affected, but some more than others. So all depends how much you work towards the light and the respect for nature and the sacredness of life, whether you get more affected or not. So, like I said, I don't want to scare people. So there is a gleam of hope. Medicine wheel. The use of circle and colors depend on the community. There is 4 circles that teaches about self aspect, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, and many more teachings related to the circle. And as you say, they have these different colors, and each color have a very meaningful representation. The magic circle is a cosmic symbol. It represents the order of the world, the cardinal direction, the rhythm of the season, and can indicate the location of the solstices when fixed. This symbol is found in other indigenous culture, notably in Mesoamerica. Now, I just want to mention that according to some tribe, the east is right here. No, I cannot point it, but the yellow is the east is the place of rebirth, and then the south is the red road, what they call it. This is represented by the porcupine or porcupine, and is represent adolescence. What we go in life, with the lessons of life and the suffering and the trials, we all have to go through that, unfortunately, according to our karma. So that's why they call it the red road, because it's the hard time, trials. But then there is, in the West, that is what you experience, the adulthood. And then the North is the ancestor. It's almost like the autumn and then the fall, when we just leave this body and go to another place, and we'll come back again. The new birth of light. The cycle of the year, birth of the light, among the ancient peoples was always considered to be a symbol of the life of man, or indeed of the life of the universe. New birth at the winter solstice, the beginning of the year, trials under conquest, which coincided with what the Native American think as well. Hibernation, time for our initiation in man and nature. And starting from December 21st, winter, to January 4th, which culminate with the anniversary of the enlightenment of Manas. And what is considered the Manas by the Kumaras, Diganis, which happened 18 million years ago. Well, the central sun, the manifested universe in the central sun, the spiritual sun, the electricity of the fire in all life. Buddha, Krishna, Zoroaster, Manu, Thoth Hermes first appeared on earth as one of the 7 powers of the Logo, individualized as a god. Then, mixing with matter, they had reappeared in turn as great sages and instructors who taught the 5th race, which is us, after having instructed the 2 preceding races. So we're never alone. We always have these wonderful sages that come from time to time to guide and instruct her, because we instruct humanity the path of progress, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. In ancient symbolism, it was always the sun, the spiritual, not the visible, who was supposed to send forward the chief saviors and avatars. The Manus and Rishis are also planetary gods, for they are said to have appeared at the beginning of the human races to watch over their evolution and to have incarnated and descend on earth subsequently to teach mankind. The central spiritual sun, there are 2 fires, and the distinction is made between them and the occult teaching. The first of the purely formless and invisible fire, concealing the center of the spiritual sun, is spoken of us. Triple, while the fire of the manifested cosmos secondary throughout both the universe and our solar system. The sun, just like us, is the heart of the solar world system, and its brain is hidden behind the visible sun. From thence, sensation is radiated into every nerve center of the great body, and the waves of the life essence flow into each artery and vein. The planet are his limbs and pulses. So, as above, so is below. And that is a Hermetic quote. We are connected, they say, the Native American as the hand, the fingers of one hand. So we are all connected. I want to show this because you see there with the sun during the winter solstice, see how there is even shadows in front of one of the main pyramids. And then the sun also hit in between, each one of them in between, like that. Okay, then the Egyptian was the one that is most famous, right, for the solstices, but there are different cultures that have pyramids, monuments that they are connected. One point I want to make that is that the Mason, that we very familiar with, they went through different part of the world, building according to the energy of the astronomy, build different buildings, and they put the initials in everything. And we have one, right? What is called the obelisk in Washington. That is one of them. So there is a special energy that goes through that and through the pyramid, even if they're not so powerful as they used to be because they vandalized them. So Amon, one of the great gods of Egypt, Amon or Amon, is far older than Amon-Ra and is identified with Baal. Amon, the Lord of Heaven. Amon-Ra was Ra, the spiritual sun. That's what they call it, Ra. The sun of righteousness. For the Lord God is a sun. He is the god of mystery, and the hieroglyphics of his name are often reversed. He is Pan, one nature esoterically, and therefore the universe and the Lord of eternity. Ra, as declared by an old inscription, was begotten by Neith, but not engendered. The sun worshippers, they are all over the world. If you look through history, why is so important? Because of course, without the light of the sun, we will have another ice age, and we will die. Like what happened. That's what happened in Rome. They say the empire of Rome went off because there was this volcano, and it was for months, if not for years. There was no light, so it was totally, frozen, and it went down into the ocean. So, thanks to the extraordinary skill of Alexander Soma of Koros, Tibet yielded a language of literature of which was totally unknown. He partly translated and partly analyzed it and explained it. See, it's a great mystery, but they have proved now through scientific that the true reality of this sacred scripture. His translation has shown the scientific world that the original of the Zen Avesta, the sacred scripture of the sun worshippers of Tripitaka, that of the Buddhist of Aitariya Brahmanam, that of the Brahmins, were written in one at the same Sanskrit language. All of these three languages, then, Nepalese and the modern Brahman Sanskrit, are more or less dialects of the first. That old Sanskrit is the origin of all the less ancient Indo-European languages, as well as the modern European tongues and dialects. That of the three chief religions of Christendom, Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, and Brahmanism, are mere heresies of the monotheistic teaching of the Vedas, which does not prevent them from being real ancient religions and not modern falsifications. In her turn, Shiva's wife Kali is the allegory of earth, fructified by the flame of the sun. Her educated worshippers say they allow themselves to believe their goddess is fond of human sacrifices only on the strength of the fact that earth is fond of organic discomposition, which fertilizes her and help her to call forth new forces from the ashes of the dead. You always heard that phrase they saying, the phoenix, is born from the ashes of the phoenix. You hear that expression. And when there is fires and burn, somehow nature come back, because the ashes sometimes is a nutrient of the trees as well. Philology discovered at last that the Sanskrit language is, if not the forefather, at least, to use the language of Max Muller, the elder brother of all classical languages. So that's one proof of the validity of the worshippers and the Sanskrit language, which is also proof of corroboration of some of the things that they are in the secret doctrine. Solar gods. In ancient symbolism, it was always the sun, the spiritual, not the visible, who's supposed to send forth the chief saviors and avatar. December 25th is best known as the Christmas Day, the day in which the Christmas celebrated the Savior of the world. But before the birth of Jesus, there were other gods celebrated in antiquity, such as Mithra in Persia, Osiris in Egypt, Bacchus in Greece, Adonis in Phoenicia, and the Phrygian Apis. Zoroaster in Persia, Buddha in India, the Trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva in India. Buddha, Krishna, Zoroaster, Manu, Thoth Hermes first appeared on earth as one of the 7 powers of the Logos, individualized as a god. Then mixing with matter, they have reappeared in turn as great sages, an instructor who taught the 5th race, after having instructed the 2 preceding races. In ancient symbolism, it was always the sun, the spiritual, not the visible, who was supposed to send forth the chief saber. I will resume this away. That's what I did. So there is this god, they have the knowledge and wisdom. We're familiar with Egyptian Thoth Hermes. And then it was another Hermes too, with Hermes. Is the Greek Hermes. And they were the gods of knowledge and wisdom, as I just said. Now, the reverse of the Christ within. And these are quotes by H.P. Blavatsky.
Christ, the true esoteric savior, is not man, but the divine principle in every human being. He who strives to resurrect the spirit crucified in him by his own terrestrial passions and buried deep in the sepulchre of his sinful flesh. He who has the strength to roll back the stone of matter from the door of his own inner sanctuary, he has the rising Christ in him. Christ,
Going the wrong way.
Christ,
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I think I get off. Okay, he's called the self-begotten Ra and created goodness from a glance of his fiery eye, except Typhon created evil from his. As Amon, also Amon and Amen, Ra, he is Lord of the world, enthroned on the sun's disk and appeared in the abyss of heaven. Abyss of heaven. A very ancient hymn spelled the name Amen Ra and hails the Lord of the throne of the earth, Lord. So now you see where the Amen that is being used by the Christians, no? Amen, they say so be is not that. It was copied from the Egyptian and doesn't mean what we think it did. Now, this time of the year is of initiation, and we have little initiation within each of us. Nature goes through that too. And of course, there is these higher beings who are more advanced in humanity, who have to go through these chambers of initiation. And this is a pyramid, the internal, how it's drawn, the inside of the pyramid. And they have the queen chambers and then the king chamber. They say that there's so many thousands of steps that not everybody make it. And some of these initiates, they actually die in the process of getting this initiation. So you have to be physical in great shape and also be very strong to be able to suffer this initiation. And as you see, there is by the king chamber, there is a cave, a cavity is what they call it, cavity, way relieving chambers. And they say that that's the entrance and the exit of the astral, because the body can fly there. They sometimes have to tie them, not with nails like they do with the images of Jesus. They put they tie them, but they don't put nail. I don't know what they use as a material for it. But anyway, in any event, I don't know, they do that. And then when they are able to succeed and come back as a solar god, they have the symbol of the swastika. Now, symbology behind the birth of Jesus, because as you know, the story goes that although a lot of people had done a lot of research and they say there was all this is not really how it happened. And as you know, that a lot of allegorical things are very materialized and turn into people and things and facts, and they actually not correct. But people like to believe in the story, and it's okay if they are happy with it. The star of Bethlehem was actually a conjunction of Jupiter and Venus. And also during this time, there is three stars that line up together and become what is called a three kings. I remember in Puerto Rico, or just look at the sky during this time of the year, and we go, that is the three kings, So the whole story of the apostles, of Jesus and the nativity and all that is written in the sky. It's an astrological description of what we go through. And it was turned into this character. And Christmas celebration happened few days before the New Year. This proximity means that the birth of the wiser consciousness opened the door of time to a new practical beginning in life. Thus, the best nativity scene is situated in our own hearts and minds. These are the places where the miracle of rebirth and initiation can occur every day. Christmas is a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. The word Christmas means Mass on Christ's Day, while the older word Yule comes from the ancient term related to winter celebration. Different languages have their own name for the holiday, such as Navidad in Spanish, Natal in Italian, and Noel in French. In German, it is called Weihnachten. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, meaning hollow night. Since the early 20th century, Christmas has also become a secular holiday enjoyed by both Christian and non-Christian. It involves gift giving and includes the character of Santa Claus based on Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas was known for his generosity and kindness, inspiring in story about his miracle for the poor and needy. He became the patron saint of many groups, including children, sailors, and merchants. The Dutch brought the legend of Saint Nicholas Sinterklaas to New Amsterdam, now known as New York City. They also started the tradition of giving gifts and sweets to children on his feast day. December 6th, which is known as St. Nicholas Day, the Egyptians also exchanged gifts and sweets and dolls and sweets during the winter solstice. So this is all tradition that they're borrowing, as we know, all religions, all countries, they borrow, they alter, they change it, they adjust it. But the meaning is special. It was not meant for us to create a business profit with this season, because people spend a lot of money, even if they go into debt, to get gift. It's not that gift physically that we should be giving to one another. It should be the gift of love, brotherhood. And if you want to give something that is simple. The Egyptian from antiquity and Native American traditionally exchanged gifts, dolls, and sweets during the winter solstice as well. Epiphany, you heard of that probably, which comes from the Greek word for manifestation. It's an important religious event. In various cultures, epiphanies involve revelation of vision interpreted by prophets, shamans, oracles, and others. For many cultures, epiphanies are seen as moments of revelation, of apparition, where prophets, shamans, with doctors, oracle, or astrologer interpret visions from beyond this world. In Christianity, Epiphany is also a feast that celebrates the moment when Jesus takes on a human presence on earth, symbolizes his coming into the world and making himself known. Initiation and great renunciation in the portentous culture of Egypt, Greece, Chaldean, China, Tibet, India, and also in our pre-Columbian America, initiation into the mysteries of being were daily practices. And in all this culture, disciples were thought to prepare them as a spiritual guide for their brothers and sisters. After having received the theoretical teaching, they were subject to psychological, mystical, and philosophical texts. Because always in those cultures, education was a magical and a spiritual surrender to oneself to radiate the perfume of human transcendence to others. At every moment, we have a choice. Therefore, a daily initiation is of great importance to every sincere student. This leads to possible evolution and development of the soul. This alchemical process is produced by the contact of the soul with the truth, which is theosophy. Sincere and practiced application in the student life quietly transform the student aspirant into a true helper of humanity, a selfless and effective servant of the orphan human race. It is for this purpose and to this end that the Theosophical movement has existed for eons and promoted among lodges and societies throughout the world. The cave is our journey, inward journey to the place we never look. It used to say Buddha, there is a place that there is a key, you can never find it because it's in a place you never look, inside your heart. In this period of darkness, the winter solstice is an opportunity to go inward with deep intention, to care of our spiritual selves, our bodies and mind, and loved one and family, and to prepare for the longer days ahead. So this is the time to hibernate, and nature is giving us that message. By everybody else is asleep except us. Most people are up partying and having a good time. They think they're having a good time. Okay, then Janus. What does the god Janus and St. Peter represent? In ancient Roman religion and myth, Janus is the god of beginnings, gates, transition, time, duality, doorway, passage of frames, and ending. He's usually depicted as having two faces. The opposed faces may indicate the past and the future. Wholeness, the union of priest and monarch. The month of January is named for Janus, Januarius, Janus. A Roman god worship predates the foundation of Rome. He's depicted as the holder of the key of heaven in his right hand and the weapon called halberd in the other. Helena P. Blavatsky states that Janus is the source of the later role of St. Peter as the keeper of the gates of heaven with his keys. Janus was the head of the 12 gods. Well, St. Peter was also the head of the 12 apostles. The statue of Janus had 12 altars at its feet, symbolizing the 12th sign of the zodiac. The 12 great gods, the 12 months of the solar year, and the 12 apostles of sunrise. Janus presided over the 4 seasons. Peter presided over the 4 evangelists. We invited to think of the divine resonance heard by the mystic and the music of the sphere and of Brahma, Bach, the primordial latent sound and light of Parabrahman. Of all theosophy, many synonyms, Brahma, Bach, more than any other, signify the transmission of metaphysics to modality, from potential to potency, from silence to speech. And to conclude, we're going to conclude with the Vivaldi 4-season sun. I would like to say that HPB mentioned that a lot of these great writers, Mozart, Beethoven, and it was discovered they were Mason. And in the Magic Flute, there is a lot of esoteric messages hidden in that fantastic opera. And they have proof, and they have written books. And and recently they were discovered a lot of it. So you can check it out. Some of them is in the YouTube. Sometimes they have things like that too. So just to tell you, Beethoven, before he died, he said, parents which will teach the children not the value of money, but the value of virtues. And now, with an inspiring winter season piece, I will conclude this talk. Thank you for your attention. And that's the conclusion.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Meluka. What a wonderful, wonderful presentation. We good? Okay. We're going to open it up for questions, and I see already there may be something here in chat. Let me just from Victor Williams. Good evening, all. Glad to have you here, sir. Okay.
Yeah, there was a hand from Brian before
Brian.
you.
Yes, Brian.
Hi, I just wanted to check in, say good job. Well done, Meluka. Everything was well spoken. Hi, everybody. Oh.
Hi there. Glad you're
Thank
here.
you so much, Brian. I appreciated your support.
It was just lovely. I think it was very interesting at the outset, Meluka, that you spoke of the Native American culture and their continued relationship to the earth, and particularly at this time of year. And I thought that was very moving. And I'm wondering if you know of theosophical ideas that they may not be using the word theosophy, but hold as significant in their heart, in their culture, and their relationship with the seasons and the earth?
Yeah, absolutely. They are theosophists for sure. I mean, theosophy is just a word, right? Which means divine wisdom, wisdom of the gods. So it's not a religion. And we study all really different religions, science and philosophies. And we believe that science is our friend and that we can, if we work together, we can do great things. Absolutely. They are the steward of the planet. Are you kidding me? They're fighting for the life of this planet. I just saw this amazing, I think it was in Guatemala. And these they're fighting. They are young people. And they wear like a little, like a scarf type of thing. And they were saying that is the almost like the symbol of the sun, you know, like the crown chakra. And they observe. No, they are there. And HPV even was in South America, in the Caribbean. She went all over. And she said she even came across some native in South America that they called themselves the Atlantites. And she said they were from the Atlanteans' heritage. And you know, they are the one that they're fighting. Of course, we are no longer 100%. They try to keep their blood very pure, and you have to be like 20% indigenous to be accepted in a group, because they keep their secret and they have to, of nature. I came across a shaman that told me that they talk about these brilliant lighting white guys. They were like with a lot of light, that came to instruct them about agriculture, arts, and all that. And the Aztec were very advanced, but they were, because some of the Aztec were actually masters that reincarnated to help us.
So wonderful. Judy Salzman has her hand up. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Monica. Yes, wonderful presentation, Maluka. Just to add about the Native Americans, the Lakota have the word Wakantanka, Great Spirit, which is very much like Brahman, universal spirit, to whom all are connected, and also the idea of the vision quest. It seems is important that the truth is within you, so you have to go find it within you, because it's useless to look for it elsewhere. So I just wanted to add to that previous question, but I also have a question. Could we address the idea that vows taken this time of year, that between the 21st of December and the 4th of January, the solstice and the parahealing, have particular power? And why is that? Astrologically, astronomically, do you have an idea about that?
Yeah. Well, as I understand, an opposite of what is written everywhere, the sun doesn't raise. The sun doesn't do a sunset. It is the earth that moves forward, and even the scientists prove it now. It is the earth that goes closest to the sun. That is, to have the contact in that proximity with one of the most powerful spiritual influence of this planet is an opportunity to be reborn again, and so that is what it is. It's a door, like I mentioned before. It's a door that opens at this type, and it goes all the way to January the 4th, when we're supposed to celebrate the Kubara Dhyani's anniversary of the reincarnation, or the enlightening of the mind by these high beings. So we are given every year an opportunity to sort of go with insight and try to connect, shut the voices of the physical and all the distraction, and connect with our inner nature, and also do service. Be a better being to your brothers. We are of one stock, because our DNA, I did a DNA. I am a rainbow. And everybody should do that, because when you do the DNA, you know that we are brothers and sisters. We have a lot of cousins.
Beautiful. That's just gorgeous. Desiree?
Hi, Maluka.
That's her hand up.
Presentation. Do you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Great presentation, and especially Vivaldi, listening to my one of my favorite symphonies at the very end there. And I'm going to refer to I think it was last weekend's Aquarian presentation on Sagittarius. You spoke about Janus having two heads, one looking forward, one looking back.
Yeah.
And the right hand holding a key and the left a weapon. And I was relating it to the sign of Sagittarius, and I believe Monica presented that some of the signs on Sagittarius also were the same, where the human part of that sign had two heads, one looking forward and one looking backwards. And I was wondering if you could speak to maybe what that symbology means in terms of this time of year.
Well, I don't know what to tell you except what I mentioned before is HPB said that January should not be, taken. It should be the first month of the year, actually, to begin with. So that create a little bit of a discrepancy with this, with what we celebrate or the story. But certainly, in temples, if you go to Chinese temple and all that, they have these goddesses, one looking one way and the other, and the 4 points, and each one have a purpose. It's almost like a protection. But just to think about that one is looking into the past, one to the present, maybe there is a message out there that we should not be looking at the past and only move forward and look into the present. Because what is it that Lao Tse say? If you look at the past, you be depressed. If you look at the future, you be anxious. But if you look at the present, you be at peace. I don't know if anybody could add up to that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yes, just to follow up on what Desiree was saying about that the astrological sign of Sagittarius, that Helen Valborg said that there are places around the world where the centaur is depicted with one face backwards and looking back and the other looking forward. And her particular take on it was that the centaur, because of the ability to understand the cause, which is the past, so well, could say what the future would be. So some of that had to be, hindsight and foresight. But I think that the point that you make here is very strong. It's to not live in either, but to stay anchored in the present. So I think that's an important point. Yes. David.
Hi, Maluka. Thanks.
Hi.
This is certainly the time of year, and you brought it out in so many ways, the time of the birth of the light and all the festivals of light. Many of them are at this time of year. But my question is, why are we so afraid of the dark?
We should ask an owl.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we have to develop those eyes, then you won't be afraid of anything.
That's great.
Anybody have any other comments about it?
Well, I think we're afraid of consciousness going out. Like in 1 John, it says, I am the light that shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Well, that light is our consciousness. And people who are afraid of the dark seem to think that the darkness is greater than they are. And of course, that's not true. And that I always think of the darkness as divine, because then I think of the spiritual sun when the lights go out. So that's a good question. But it's true, a lot of people do not like the dark. I actually do, but I always like to see the stars at night when I was a camp counselor and look up and look at the galaxy. I thought that was just great. Darkness was good too.
What is it that you cannot see a star unless it's nighttime?
Well, yeah. And the moon interferes with the stars, although the moon has its own value, its own problems, of course.
Fantastic. Shobha. Hi there.
Hi. Thank you. Hi, Maluka. Wonderful. I loved it. And this whole thing about light and darkness, H.P. Blavatsky talks about it in the Secret Doctrine, in I think the early pages of when she's talking about cosmogenesis. She says that there is this whole misconception of what darkness is. Darkness is the absence of light, but it doesn't mean it has to be scary. In fact, this morning, I was listening to this amazing broadcast about a musician in UK who does this during this season, takes a walk in the woods with a lot of people with no lights. They don't have any artificial lights. So they're walking in complete darkness. And why do they do this? They go to listen to the nightingales and they sing. And then some of the musicians, they play and the nightingales respond to it. What I'm trying to say is darkness teaches you so much. Darkness gives you an opportunity to learn, listen to nature, and be at one with her. And I thought that was so beautiful this morning when I was listening to it on community radio. Where I live in Tampa, we have an amazing community station, just like you all have in the West Coast. And so it's wonderful. It was wonderful to hear this. So it's so apropos. During this season, we talk about light, but light and darkness are both the world's eternal ways. And she says that these two, light and darkness, are the world's eternal ways. So we have such a misconception of darkness and we're afraid of it. And we're sitting here probably in the homes watching something either on Netflix or something else, whereas we could be out there walking in the darkness, listening to the owls, like you said, or to the nightingales.
Thank you. Great comments,
Lovely.
everybody. Great comments. I like them. I just want to say something. You know, we have a duality. And the bigger the light, the bigger the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So one cannot exist without the other. And there are times in which, like you said, out of dark places in your life, you come out with more strength and be able to, you know, have the power that you need to continue forward.
Beautiful. Definitely an opportunity. Ken?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello there, Maluka. Thank you for a wonderful tour and presentation of so many aspects of the winter solstice and the New Year and Christmas time. I wanted to go back to something that Judy had mentioned, which is the perihelion. That's January 3rd or 4th. This coming year will be on the 4th. It's when our planet Earth, is closest to the sun. And of course, now today is the solstice day, when with the tilt of the Earth, we have the shortest sunlight days on the northern hemisphere. But it looks like at one point, Blavatsky had even suggested that the perihelion day be the beginning of the new year and not other days. But you had a slide, Maluka, that said something, the new birth of light, and mentioned in that slide the enlightenment of the Manas by the Kumaras and the Dhyanis 18 million years ago. And it seemed that in that slide, it said that actually happened on the January 4th or the perihelion time. And I was wondering about that. Is that something in theosophical literature that I'm not aware of? Because there's so much I'm not aware of.
You mean the perihelion? Why?
Actually, it's in the slide you said that it culminated with the anniversary of the enlightenment of Manas. And I didn't know that was a particular day, actually. It is, yeah. Jonathan's saying, yeah, it is a day.
Yeah, we're talking about January the 4th.
Yeah, the January 4th, yeah.
And yeah, January the 4th is when, according to the teachings, that when we got the Dhyanis came into the physical of man at that time, where they were not already perfectly ready for it. And reincarnated, some of them got a spark, some of them got more spark. Even now, not everybody succeeded. That illumination she talks about in Australia and places like that, they have indigenous that the spark didn't happen. So and eventually all this, what you call it, stuff, a combination of Lemuria and Latia, eventually in Australia, especially, she said eventually that will move forward. I mean, not move forward, but will make it. So, but the Anish Shohan, the Forge, is people say that it's esoteric. It's a real new year. That's the real new year of all cultists because of the enlightening of manners, which happened about 18 million years ago.
And so it's the 18 million year ago thing. And so that's analogous to the Greek mythology of Prometheus bringing fire to mankind.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you for your.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Jonathan has a question.
Nobody else does. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Monica. You getting your exercise?
No worries. No worries. I need it.
That was just so beautiful, Miluka. Thank you. I really loved your journey that you took us on around the world in less than 80 minutes. But no, but it was really like checking in on so many ancient cultures. And I felt like it was just part of humanity to be in tune with nature and be in tune with this idea of turning within. So I really appreciate that. My question, I haven't formulated it so well yet, but you mentioned the Kumaras and the whole thing about the incarnation of the Kumaras and also them being part of the Promethean host, you could say. It just seems not perfectly cut and dried how it all happened. It might be almost analogous to parenting, perhaps. Nothing is perfect about it. And on the other hand, it's almost as if these Kumaras in their sacrifice took a risk in lighting up of mind and so forth, because you didn't know what the human population would do with all that. But they were kind of generous anyway. I was wondering if you could talk about that kind of the risk of giving knowledge, but somehow it might be worth it. I don't know. But it might have application to the Theosophical movement in this day.
Well, it seems like they say, even if they said that they kind of didn't want it, they procrastinated enlightenment manas in mind because the form was kind of grotesque and not quite ready. But they have to do it because there was, remember the sin of the mindless? Because I don't know if I should talk about it in this meeting, but they were something that happened in the human and the animal. So, and they needed to stop that. So they had no choice than to do it, even though the form was not totally ready. We're talking about gigantic, grotesque form, physical form. It was almost like animals, almost. And so, but that procrastination also is a karma that the Anikubara are also carrying with them as well as us. But they say not everybody got the same kind of illumination, and then others, as I mentioned before, are not going to make it. She talks about Aboriginal people in Australia and all that they just say that the mind doesn't have the spark. So, nature, when things are not according to the evolution, because remember, we are in a spiral of evolution. You see, the DNA is a perfect example of how we move in a spiral. It's keep moving upward and upwards. Who doesn't want to join the ride? Stay below, or just eventually, who knows what's going to happen. But that's in life, everything is a circle. You have to move forward. So, but thanks to them, we have a thinking principle in mind, because before that was just an animal form. And that's the spirit within us. It's connected to our heart. Like I say at the beginning, the solar, the sun, the spiritual sun have a heart. It has arteries, it has vein. And I just imagine that we have a sun within us. And that's the sun that was given to us. That was the gift to humanity from these amazing beings. And that's why we honor them. As you know, I like to honor them every January 4th. I'm going to have a talk about it in Spanish for the Federation of Theosophists. And it's going to be people from the Caribbean, South America. And they were very interesting because it's not something that is talked about it much in our teaching.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. You definitely were. That's exactly kind of what I was probing into, what you went into. So thank you for that. I'm going to let Monica come back up here.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any more questions for Miluka?
Keith left? Keith is not longer on?
Did he go?
Because I know he had something he was going to share, and I'm so sorry I missed him. I think he just left.
Wait a minute. This is from Robert Moore. He said, "You have reminded us all of our dharma as humans basking in the light of the spiritual sun." So that was just lovely. Sean, to everyone, namaskaram. Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you for your kind words and for your support. I appreciate it. And I hope that, I know we are in the midst of a lot of confusion and lack of compassion and love. And I know we're going through turmoil right now, the earth, and all the destruction happening and wars and all that. But I just hope that this stops soon and we could continue moving forward into a more peaceful world, and that we realize that it's not all about money and who has the most money. I remember one time somebody said to me, it's going to come to the point that the golden rule is going to change. It's going to say, whoever owns the gold makes the rules. And it seems like we're going toward that direction. But don't lose hope.
There you go.
But then the Roman Empire went down. The Egyptian went down when they became dark. So no worry. And remember, we are immortal. Even if we go tomorrow, we be back. We are immortal.
Yes. Great hope in that. Well, I want to say thank you for the amazing array of cultures that you added to this. To see theosophy in these different forms was very, very moving to this student. But I think that the idea that because of theosophy, we don't have to, what is the phrase, come ye out and be separate? I think that is an opportunity for every student, but I'm grateful that we are not on this tear of materialism for this season. And Miluka, you certainly have given us the holiest aspect of this time of year, and that's much appreciated. Where does the birth of Jesus come in at this time of year? LAS asks that question to everyone. Meluka, do you want to take that on?
Well, it's the Christ within us, not Jesus, not the historical Jesus. But remember that this is the birth of not only human, but the whole universe. And as you see, some of these symbols are in astrology. And the whole process that we're going through during this time of the year and all this celebration of gods and birth and death and whatever initiation is already part of this planet's cycle. They're just cycles. So the 21st is when the gods, if we want to say Jesus, Osiris, and many other gods from other religions and cultures, that's when the birth comes. Means that the sun, if they're representing the sun, is the solar. It's when the tonight is going to be the longest night, right? And it was the shortest day. So it's when the light start coming like a procession, little by little. It's the birth of light is what it is. And it's represented as solar gods. And that's what they represented as all these gods. But it's actually, it's the story of the sun, the life giver. And that's what we're celebrating. It really is the spiritual sun in nature and within us, if we tune into it.
Yes, to be attuned.
Question next week.
So much, everybody, for, like I said, great questions and comments and support. I appreciate it. We have a lot to learn yet.
Yes. Desiree says here, thank you, Meluka. Namaste to everyone. So, we would love you to come back next week for the Aquarian series. Dr. Eugene Jennings is up, and he will be giving a presentation called Prajna. So come back and be with us. Okay.
Thank you, Meluka.
Thank you so much, Meluka.
Happy solstice, Merry Christmas, and
Merry Christmas, happy solstice.
Anybody interested in attending the January the 4th talk, let me know so I can send you the information. Okay?
Beautiful. All right.
Good night.
Take good care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Namaste.